Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to Chicago today. I must say that I feel that it is a great honor for me to speak after Jan Brzezinski, who is the son of Zbigniew Brzezinski, and to see the Polish flag with Ukrainian flag, flag of European Union, Canadian, American. So it's really moving. I found it pretty strange that I was asked as a Pole to talk about the Russian perspective. At the beginning, I thought that it was a joke, but
it's not.
But it is not. I am here and I'm talking about the Russian perspective, and I think that it's really very challenging, and because our Polish history was just a history of the conflicts and wars with Russia. So there were some victories, even not like the Germans and French. We managed in the 17th century to take over Kremlin for a while, together with our Ukrainian and Lithuanian allies. And today in Russia there is a national holiday which celebrates the Russian victory over the Polish troops when they were forced to leave Kremlin. So I can be only proud of this very fact. Then it was, unfortunately, the partition of Poland. Then after regaining the independence, the Polish troops under the command of Marshal Józef Piłsudski managed to stop the Bolsheviks on the bank of the Vistula River before Warsaw, saving simply Europe of being the part of the communist empire. So I understand that it was a good idea, and thank you for this honor that I can speak about the Russian perspective right now. I will start with some provocative remark. I believe that Russia simply needs NATO very much, because Russia needs anti-NATO rhetorics in the very first place, and Russia needs a safe enemy. So if Russia would even invent NATO if NATO didn't exist. Safe enemy, it's an enemy which will not attack Russia, because I'm pretty sure that all people in this room know quite well that NATO will never attack Russia. But in the Russian military doctrine, we have a clear statement that NATO is the enemy of Russia. And this statement justified the growing military spendings in Russia, the concept of modernization of the army, which is the priority of new old President Putin. So now enemy, and NATO is a target for attacks, different attacks. Just recently, few days ago, it was a comment given by I don't think that I am mistaken, it was the Deputy Minister of Defense of Russia. He said in Moscow at the conference that Russia would like to reserve a right to make a prevention attack on the elements of the anti-missile shield in Poland and in some other countries, including, of course, Romania as well. So it means that they are just threatening us with attack, simply. It was then a comment by the Secretary General of NATO that, again, the same explanation that anti-missile shield is not aimed at Russia, but it wasn't. It was again a repetition from the Russian side that they would like to install the Iskander rockets in Kaliningrad district. And we Poles, we have to remember that we border with Russia, we border also with Belarus, with two countries which are treated as the autocratic regimes, and we border also with Ukraine, and Ukraine shouldn't be treated as on the same level like it was already said in this room. And we are somehow puzzled with this comment, and I believe that this issue will be also raised at the summit. But coming back to Ukraine, what is the Russian goal? What is the Russian tactic and strategy towards the Ukraine in the wider context, not just in the context of NATO? Definitely, tactic is to keep Ukraine out of EU and out of NATO as well. And this strategy is to regain the influence in the region, including also Baltic states, Poland, all these, let us say, Warsaw Pact countries. And it is quite clear because in Moscow, the Russian military presented maps, and Poland was considered to be a part defended by Russia, not by this Western NATO anti-missile system. So the aim of Russia is to regain the control over the region. And it is easier than it was before, because now we see a crisis in the Eurozone. Europe is concentrating on internal issues related to financial crisis. It was an Arab Spring. And also Vladimir Putin learned his lesson, seeing his body of his colleague Gaddafi being killed in Libya, seeing also Mubarak standing in the hospital bed in front of the judges in Egypt. So he knows what is at the stake at the moment. And his idea, it was on his election plateau, on the plate when he started the campaign, was a creation of Eurasiatic Union. With Kazakhstan, with Belarus, and we Poles, we understand quite well that the concept without Ukraine makes no sense. So I'm pretty convinced that Putin will be trying using all possible means to take Ukraine, to push Ukraine towards custom union and Eurasiatic Union. There are two scenarios. One scenario is pessimistic and the other scenario is optimistic. But one scenario says that there were tries of setting similar bodies in the past. For example, they tried to create a Commonwealth of Independent States, which is still formally existing, but it's not working. It was a concept of creating a union of Belarus and Russia. It is also not working. So there is a hope that the Euro-Asiatic Union will be pretty much the same collapse. Although we can also note some of the collapses, we can record some of the collapses on the Western side. When the West tried to engage Ukraine and other countries of the Black Sea region, there were two concepts invented. One was Guam, and the second was Community of Democratic Choice. Both of these concepts didn't work as well. So there is a hope that that also the Eurasiatic Union will not work. But Ukraine is important for Kremlin, for Putin, not just because of geostrategic position in Europe, not because of the pipes, not because of the industry, but in the very first place because of spiritual values. It's a kind of traditional coming back to the Kievan Rus. So Russia without Ukraine is like a person without a soul almost. Yeah, basically. And it is the reason why Putin will be trying to regain the control over Ukraine and to push Ukraine towards the concept of entering the Eurasiatic Union. At the end, I would like to give you one recommendation. Because some people, they question the sense of NATO, the sense of this alliance, and there are protests in different parts of the world, probably also in Chicago today. There are people protesting against NATO, treating NATO as a killing machine or whatever. I just finished the book by famous historian Timothy Snyder, The Bloodlands. And the book gives us the answer why we need NATO. The book describes in a very precise, almost mechanic way, how more than 6 million of people were killed in our part of Europe, in Ukraine, in Poland, in Belarus. It was the Bloodlands. And because we, the Poles and the Ukrainians, we know well what happened in this part of the world, we understand why we need NATO. Thank you very much.